What's the cheapest thing your partner has ever done that made you finally see who they really were? My boyfriend makes 6 figures. I need to say that first because the rest of this won't make sense without it. He works in software engineering, nice apartment, new car, good clothes, he lives well. But when it comes to me, this man becomes the cheapest person on the planet. Our first date was at a restaurant he picked. Nice place, good food. When the bill came, he said, let's split it. Fine. Some people do that. Second date, another nice place, and he pulled up his calculator app and said yours was 32 and mine was 28, so let's each pay our own. Third date, I suggested cooking at home. I bought all the groceries, made everything from scratch. He brought a bottle of wine, and when he got to my place, he said this was $14. Pretty good for the price, right? He told me the price of the wine he brought to my apartment where I had spent $60 cooking him dinner. I let it go because I liked him. He was funny, he was smart. I thought maybe he was just careful with money early on and things would change. Things did not change. They got worse. For my birthday, he took me to a chain restaurant. Not even a nice chain. The kind with sticky menus and a kids section. When the bill came, he used a coupon on my birthday dinner. Meanwhile, he bought himself a $900 gaming chair the day after my birthday. Told me all about it. Lumbar support, adjustable armrests. Been eyeing it for months. $900 on a chair for himself. $349 on a clearance candle for me. For Christmas, I got him a leather wallet with his initials on it. About $120. He opened it and said, wow, you didn't have to do that. Then he handed me my gift, a pair of socks. Not fancy socks, regular socks from a pack. He had taken 1 pair out of a pack of 6 and wrapped them in tissue paper. I know because I saw the other 5 pairs in his dresser the next week. Same brand, same color. He gave me 1/6 of a sock purchase. I held them in my hands on Christmas morning and just looked at him and he smiled like he'd done something thoughtful. His whole body language was waiting for a thank you, like he was expecting me to light up. I put the socks back in the tissue paper and set them on the coffee table and I thanked him because that's what I did. That was the version of me I still was back then. The version that smoothed things over. The version that told herself not to make a scene on Christmas morning over a pair of socks. I tried to talk to him later. I said I don't need expensive things, but there's a difference between what you spend on yourself and what you spend on me. He said he was practical and didn't believe in wasting money on things people don't need. I said you bought a $900 gaming chair. He said that's different. He uses that every day. It's an investment. I said I would use a nice gift too. He said I was being materialistic. The woman who cooked him dinner twice a week and never asked him to pay for groceries was being materialistic for wanting a birthday gift that cost more than a gallon of gas. But here's when I realized it wasn't about being frugal. It was about being frugal with me. His friend Dominic had a birthday in February. My boyfriend bought him a $200 bottle of whiskey, showed it to me before he wrapped it and said Dominic's going to lose his mind. This is the good stuff. $200 for a friend. For me, his girlfriend of almost a year, he bought clearance candles and 1 pair of socks from a 6-pack. When Dominic's girlfriend had her baby shower, my boyfriend put $100 in a card. Didn't even think about it. Just slid the bill in like it was nothing. Meanwhile, for Valentine's Day, he took me to the food court at the mall. The food court. He got us both combo meals and said this is nice, right? Just us. Then he used his rewards points so the meals were free. He didn't spend a single dollar on me for Valentine's Day. Not one. Not even a card. His car needed new floor mats and he bought the premium ones. $80. His buddy wanted to go to a basketball game and he bought 2 tickets. $300. He upgraded his phone the week it came out. Over $1,000. He ordered takeout for himself 3 or 4 times a week from expensive places. $40, $50 a pop without a second thought. He lived like a man who had money and enjoyed spending it. But then I'd come over and he'd suggest we stay in. He'd say let's just order water at restaurants. He'd say do we really need appetizers? He'd calculate the tip to exactly 15% and round down. One weekend his coworker was in town and he took the guy to a steakhouse. $240 he told me, but totally worth it because the ribeye was insane. The next night I came over after work and he said he was tired and asked if we could just split a frozen pizza. He had bought 1 pizza for both of us. I watched him cut it into 8 pieces and put 4 on each plate, only with me. Everyone else got the version of him that had money. I got the version that acted like every dollar spent on me was wasted. Last month was our anniversary. 1 year together. I didn't expect anything huge, just effort, just something that showed me I mattered. He took me to the same chain restaurant from my birthday. Same sticky menus. He ordered for both of us without asking because he said the 2 for $20 deal was the best value. He got me a card from the spinning rack at the register, the kind you grab while waiting to pay for gum. Inside he wrote, "Happy 1 year, babe." 5 words. I sat across from him eating a meal I didn't choose and thought about every grocery run I made to cook for him. Every nice gift I picked out. Every time I treated him because I wanted to see him smile. And I thought about how not once in 12 months did he try to make me feel like I was worth more than a clearance sticker. After dinner he said that was nice. Same time next year. I said there's not going to be a next year. So I said it. Right there at that sticky table with our 2 for $20 plates still sitting between us. And the look on Danny's face told me everything. He wasn't hurt. He wasn't sad. He was annoyed. Like I had just made his evening inconvenient. He leaned back in his chair and actually laughed. That laugh lit something in me that a year of clearance candles and sock fragments couldn't put out. Then he said, "You're really going to throw away a whole year because of gifts? That's embarrassing." He shook his head like he felt sorry for me. Then he kept going. He said, "You're acting like every other woman who can't appreciate a man who's smart with his money. You know how many girls would love to be with someone who's financially responsible?" And I just sat there and let him finish. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I was so calm it almost scared me because I had spent 12 months swallowing my feelings at chain restaurants and food courts, and I was done choking on them. So when he finally stopped talking, I looked at him and said, "You spent $200 on a bottle of whiskey for Dominic. You've never spent $200 on me total in 12 months. The smirk left his face so fast it was like someone reached over and wiped it off. He sat forward in his chair and put both hands on the table and said, "That's different. Dominic is my boy. I've known him for years. You don't compare a friendship to a relationship." I let those words sit in the air for a second. Then I asked him, "So your friendships are worth more than your relationship?" He didn't answer. He didn't even try. He just sat there with his jaw tight and his eyes looking at the table like the answer was hidden somewhere between the ketchup bottles. Then he raised his hand and flagged down the server and said, "Can we get the check?" like that was his way of ending the conversation. We walked to his car in silence, not the comfortable kind, the heavy kind, the kind where you can feel the other person thinking real hard about what to say next. He started the car and pulled out of the parking lot and didn't say a word for the first few minutes. I looked out the window and watched the streetlights pass. For once, the silence was mine. It felt like armor. Then Danny cleared his throat. His voice got softer. Not sweet, but softer. Like he was trying on a different version of himself to see if it worked. He said, "Okay, I hear you. Maybe I could have done more for the anniversary. How about this? Next weekend I'll take you somewhere nice. Anywhere you want. You pick the place." And I'm not going to lie. For a split second, something in me pulled, like a tiny thread that was still connected to all the hoping I had done over the past year. This was what I had been asking for. A nice dinner, some effort, some sign that I mattered enough for him to try. But the feeling lasted about 3 seconds before I caught myself, because I realized he wasn't offering because he wanted to. He wasn't offering because something clicked in his brain about how he'd been treating me. He was offering because he was losing. This wasn't a gift. It was a bid. A last-minute offer to keep something he thought he already owned. So I said, "I don't want to make up dinner, Danny. I wanted you to want to do it without me having to beg." The car got quiet again. Then he said, "So what? Nothing I say is going to fix this?" I said, "No." Just like that. One word. He pulled into my apartment complex and stopped the car right in front of my building, but he didn't turn off the engine. Then he said, "You're making a mistake. You're not going to find someone who treats you better than I do." And that sentence, out of everything he said that night, that one hurt the most. Not because it was mean, because he believed it. He fully, honestly believed that what he gave me over the past 12 months was good treatment. The coupons, the clearance candle, the one pair of socks from a six-pack, the food court on Valentine's Day. In his mind, that was him being a good boyfriend. I opened the car door and stepped out, and before I closed it, I leaned down and looked at him and said, "That's the saddest part. You actually believe that." Then I shut the door and walked toward my building without looking back. I got inside my apartment and locked the door behind me and sat down on my couch. Then my phone buzzed. It was Danny. A long text. He said I was being emotional. He said I should sleep on it and we could talk in the morning when I had a clear head. He said I was making a big decision based on feelings instead of logic. And then, right at the end, like a cherry on top of the most useless cake ever baked, he wrote, "I love you. You know that." I stared at those words for a long time. I love you. He hadn't said that in 2 months. Not when I cooked for him. Not when I gave him a birthday gift he didn't deserve. Not on our anniversary when he handed me a card from a spinning rack. But now, when I was walking away, suddenly the words were right there. Easy. Ready to go. Like pulling a coupon out of his wallet. He had used those 3 words the same way he used his rewards points. Free. Convenient. Pulled out at the moment they were most useful to him. I turned my phone face down on the couch cushion and didn't respond. The next morning, my phone rang at 8:30. It was Marianne, my best friend. She said, "Hey, so Danny called me last night. He's really upset. He said you guys broke up and it was over money." I felt my whole body go cold. He called my best friend. He actually went around me and called Marianne before I even had a chance to talk to her myself. I hadn't even gone to sleep yet when he was already on the phone with her. I started explaining everything. The whiskey for Dominic, the socks, the food court, all of it. Marianne listened and then she said, "I mean, some guys just aren't gift people though. Maybe his love language is different." And just like that, I felt my chest get tight because even she didn't get it yet. She didn't get it because Danny had gotten there first. He had planted the seed and she was already watering it without realizing. So I took a breath and I said, "Marianne, just listen. Let me walk you through this." And I started from the top. The $200 bottle of whiskey for Dominic, the $100 bill in Blakely's baby shower card, the $900 gaming chair, the $1,000 phone upgrade, the $80 floor mats, the $300 basketball tickets. Then I said, "Now here's what I got. The clearance candle that cost $3.49, the one pair of socks pulled out of a six-pack, the food court Valentine's Day where he used his rewards points so it was literally free, the coupon birthday dinner at a chain restaurant with sticky menus, the spinning rack card on our anniversary with 5 words inside." I said, "That's 12 months, Marianne. That's everything he gave me in an entire year of being together." The phone was quiet. Not the kind of quiet where someone is about to argue. The kind of quiet where someone is doing the math in their head and the numbers aren't adding up. I could almost hear her thinking. Then Marianne said, "Okay, when you say it all together like that, it sounds really bad." And I said, "It doesn't just sound bad, it is bad. He has money, he spends it on himself, he spends it on his friends, he spends it on floor mats and gaming chairs and whiskey and basketball games. He just doesn't spend it on me. Not because he can't, because he doesn't want to." She was quiet again and then she said, "I'm sorry, I didn't see it like that. He made it sound like you were being unreasonable. He was really convincing on the phone, and that's what got me." Danny wasn't sitting in his apartment feeling bad about losing me. He was on the phone with my best friend hours after I broke up with him, already spinning the story, already setting up the version of events where he was the calm, logical, financially responsible boyfriend, and I was the shallow, ungrateful girlfriend who left because he didn't buy her enough fancy things. He wasn't trying to win me back. He was trying to win the narrative. I said, "Marianne, I need to get my stuff from his apartment. I have clothes there. I have books. I have my good cooking pot that I'm not leaving behind. And I need to do it soon, because the longer I wait, the more time he has to rewrite the whole relationship to everyone we know." Marianne didn't hesitate. She said, "I'm coming with you. You're not going over there alone." And honestly, hearing her say that meant more to me than anything Danny had done in 12 months. One sentence from my best friend, no hesitation, no conditions, and I felt more supported than I ever did sitting across from a man who made 6 figures. The next evening, Marianne picked me up and we drove to Danny's apartment together. On the way there, I texted him and said I was coming to get my things. He responded within 30 seconds. "Fine, but we should talk when you get here." I showed the text to Marianne and she shook her head and said, "Don't let him turn this into a negotiation. Get your stuff and go. That's it." I nodded, but my hands were shaking a little when I put my phone back in my pocket. We pulled into the parking lot of his complex and I sat there for a second just looking up at his building. The lights were on in his unit. I could see the glow from the living room window. Marianne turned off the car and looked at me and said, "You ready?" I said, "Yeah, let's go." We walked up the stairs and I knocked on the door. A few seconds later, Danny opened it. He was wearing a nice shirt, the kind he wore when he wanted to look put together, like he had been thinking about how this moment was going to look. look. But the second his eyes moved past me and landed on Marianne, his whole face changed. His jaw tightened and he said, "Why is she here? This is between us." I didn't hesitate. I said, "She's here because I want to witness." Danny's expression got hard. His lips pressed together and I could see his neck muscles get tight like he was swallowing something he really wanted to say. But he didn't argue. He stepped to the side and let us in. I didn't stop to look around. I walked straight to the bedroom to start getting my things. Marianne stayed in the living room. I could feel her standing there like a quiet wall between me and whatever Danny was about to try. In the bedroom, I grabbed a bag from the closet and started pulling my clothes off hangers. A few shirts, a dress I had left there for date nights that never really happened the way I hoped they would, my book on the nightstand. I moved fast because I didn't want to be there longer than I had to. But as I was folding a shirt and putting it in the bag, my eyes landed on the corner of the room. There it was, the gaming chair. $900 of lumbar support and adjustable armrests sitting there like a throne under the glow of his desk lamp. He had a whole setup around it. 2 monitors, a nice keyboard, a headset hanging from a little hook on the side. That corner of his room probably cost more than everything he'd ever given me combined. I looked at it for a second and then went back to packing. I heard his footsteps behind me before he said anything. Danny walked into the bedroom and leaned against the door frame with his arms at his sides like he was trying to look casual. Then he said, "You know this is crazy, right? You're throwing away something real because I didn't spend enough money on you. Do you hear how that sounds?" I didn't look up. I kept folding. I kept packing. I put another shirt in the bag and reached for my book and I said, "I'm throwing away something that cost me everything and cost you nothing." The room got quiet. I could hear the hum of his computer in the corner. Danny didn't say anything for a few seconds, but then he let out a breath and said, "You know what? Maybe I should have spent more. Fine, I can admit that, but you gave those gifts because you wanted to. I never asked you to buy me a wallet. I never asked you to cook me dinner. You did that on your own. You can't hold that over me now like I owe you something." I stopped packing. My hands went still on the zipper of the bag and I turned around and looked at him. And I said, "You're right. You never asked. You just took. Every dinner I cooked for you, you ate it. Every gift I gave you, you kept it. The wallet is in your pocket right now, Danny. You took all of it. Every single thing I gave, you took with both hands. And you gave me back clearance stickers and food court combos." He looked at the floor for a second. Then he looked back up and his face was different, harder, like I had crossed some line by saying it out loud. He shook his head. Not fast, but slow, like he was dealing with someone who just didn't understand. He said, "This is exactly what I told Dominic. You're keeping score. You're sitting there with a list in your head of what I spent versus what you spent. And that's not how relationships work." I stopped. Everything in me stopped. I said, "You told Dominic too?" Danny's face changed just a little, just enough for me to see that he knew he had said something he wasn't supposed to say. He crossed his arms and said, "I just mentioned it. He's my friend. People talk." I picked my bag back up and zipped it closed. I grabbed the handle and walked past him toward the bedroom door. He didn't move out of the way at first. He stood there blocking half the door frame like he thought I might stop, like he thought there was still something left to negotiate. But I kept walking, and he stepped aside. I got to the front door where Marianne was sitting on the arm of the couch, watching, waiting, ready. I put my hand on the doorknob and then I turned back to Danny, who had followed me out of the bedroom and was standing in the hallway with his arms still crossed like armor. I said, "You keep saying it's about money. You've said it to me. You said it to Marianne. Now you've said it to Dominic. And you're going to keep saying it to anyone who will listen, because that's the version that makes you look good. But it was never about money, Danny. It was about the fact that I wasn't worth it to you. Not worth the effort. Not worth the thought. Not worth more than a clearance candle and a pair of socks you pulled out of a pack in your dresser. Every person in your life got something real from you. A bottle, a card, a ticket, a night out. The version of you they got was a man who showed up. I got a man who calculated the tip to exactly 15% and rounded down." I paused because I wanted him to hear every word. "You kept the receipts for everything you bought yourself, Danny. You showed me the wine. You showed me the chair. You showed me the whiskey. You kept all of it in front of you because you wanted to be seen as the guy who spends. Well, you were seen. I saw all of it. I saw what you gave other people. I saw what you gave me, and I saw the difference." Danny's arms dropped to his sides. His mouth opened, but nothing came out. Marianne stood up from the couch, grabbed my cooking pot from the kitchen counter where she had already set it, and walked past Danny without a word. I opened the door. I stepped into the hallway. I didn't look back. We walked down the stairs and out to the lot. Marianne put the cooking pot in the back seat, and I put the bag next to it. I got in the passenger side and closed the door. She started the car. The dashboard clock said 9:11. The heat was still on from the drive over. She asked if I wanted to stop for food. I said no. She nodded and put the car in reverse, and we pulled out of the space. Up on the second floor, a light came on in his window and then went off again. We drove to the exit and turned right. I set the bag down between my feet and looked at the road.